A couple of weeks ago, it was announced that Randall Burnett, the crew chief for Kyle Busch, would be leaving RCR to go join Trackhouse and crew chief for Connor Zilisch, meaning there was an opening for Kyle Busch at the crew chief position. Well, that position has been filled by Jim Pohlman. Pohlman is currently Justin Allgaier's crew chief in the Xfinity Series. Of course, they won the championship together last year. Currently still fighting for the championship right now. Let's see what RCR's statement says. Richard Childress Racing appoints Jim Pohlman crew chief of the number 8 Chevrolet and driver Kyle Busch in the NASCAR Cup Series beginning in 2026. Richard Childress Racing announced this week that Jim Pohlman will rejoin the organization in 2026 to assume the role of crew chief for Kyle Busch in the number 8 team in the NASCAR Cup Series. A determined competitor, Pohlman previously worked at RCR as the organization's head of research and development. Since taking over reins as crew chief of the number 7 driver with Chevrolet with driver Justin Allgaier at Junior Motorsports in 2023, Pohlman has built a winning program in the NASCAR Xfinity Series that includes 9 wins. He guided Allgaier to a championship 4 appearance during their rookie year together in 2023 and followed up their first-year success with a dominating performance that led Allgaier to his first Xfinity Series championship in 2024. The duo is currently battling to defend the 2024 title with another NASCAR playoffs appearance. And then we have a quote from Richard Childress. He said, "Everyone at RCR remains focused on improving performance and is committed to putting the right people in place, including on the number 8 team. Jim Pohlman is a relentless competitor in the garage and fits in well with our mission and approach at RCR. He was well respected during his previous tenure and welcome, and we know that he will do a great job leading the number 8 team and Kyle Busch." So when it came to replacing Kyle Busch's crew chief, obviously Kyle Busch has had a really bad 2024, really bad 2025, winless in both seasons, missed the playoffs in both seasons. Austin Dillon made the playoffs this year. Austin Dillon didn't make the playoffs last year, but he won a race last year. So Austin Dillon, I'm going to say it, has done more than Kyle Busch over the last 2 years, which is mind-blowing, okay? So RCR as a whole has struggled outside of Richmond. We take Richmond out of the equation. RCR as an organization has struggled. The beginning of the next-gen car, they did great. Both drivers going to victory lane in 2022. Reddick winning multiple races. 2023, Kyle Busch shows up. He wins multiple races. Well, since then, as I said, Kyle Busch winless. He has been winless since June of 2023. Austin Dillon, outside of Richmond, not a lot to look at. So the organization as a whole has struggled, and when Kyle Busch's crew chief left, obviously that left a pretty significant opening. So the question was, do you hire internally? Do you go external? What do you do? They put Andy Street in as the temporary interim crew chief for the rest of the season, and only a couple weeks in, we learn that they have hired out of house. And honestly, I think that's a good idea. RCR needs new minds in there. There's been a lot going wrong with those race cars. They've been going very slow. They need something different desperately. Doesn't matter where they go for it. And to go get a veteran, to go get someone who's been in NASCAR for a long time, someone who knows RCR as well on top of that, I think it's a good call. Now, he doesn't have a lot of crew chiefing experience in the Cup Series, no, but it's a veteran crew chief in the Xfinity Series and someone who's been around for a long time, and you got a veteran driver who's been around for a long time, won a lot of races, won a lot of championships. I think this is a pretty good combination. I think I'm optimistic about it, maybe. But yeah, I really think they had to go higher outside of RCR. They had to do something different. They didn't have to go poach like the top crew chief in the business. They didn't have to go poach a Paul Wolf or go get yourself a Rudy Fugle or something, but you had to do something different. You couldn't just hire within RCR and magically hope the problems go away. So I think getting a new mind in there, getting someone with a little bit different experience, with a little bit of a different approach and viewership on how things go, I think at the end of the day, that's a really good move. I'm curious to see how it's going to work. Obviously, I think the objective for them should be to win one race. One race next year. Just win one. I don't care if it's Talladega, Dover, Martinsville, Texas, Coda, whatever it is. This 8 team has struggled massively over the last 2.5 years. So a big change here at crew chief. They've made some internal changes at times, so we'll see how this ends up going for this team. And in other news, Butterbean, Brendan Queen, won a lot of ARCA. I think he won the ARCA championship. He's going to be going full time in the truck series with Ram and Colleague Racing. So that's an interesting note. Ty Dillon's spotter got fired. Yeah. Speaking of Colleague, so we got Colleague Trucks news. Colleague will not have their alliance with RCR starting in 2027, I think. It might be starting next year. And then Colleague also fired the spotter of the 10 car. He said, got to Talladega, parked the bus, got fired. In an Uber to the airport to go home for the weekend. Also, to be clear, it was already determined that I would not be spotting for Ty next year, but that I would still be with Colleague in some fashion. But not now. Ouch. Yeah, that sucks, dude. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about about that incident that happened with the 10 and the 24. Who was at fault? What should have been communicated better? Chris Rice went on the radio and defended the 10 car and said it wasn't their fault. Then they fired the spotter. So yeah, that's anywho. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you guys in the next one. Any other news? And then obviously this weekend we got Talladega. Talladega determines the championship 4 in all 3 series. Dear God.